Good morning. My name is Brian Heater. I am the managing editor at A3. We have a packed show for you today. I'm going to be on here about 4 more times, which I'll mention at the end of this conversation. But right now, I'm talking to Darcy Bachert. Did I nail it?
That's perfect.
Awesome.
Very well done.
So you are the CEO at Prolucid Technologies.
Yes.
We talked a little bit yesterday, and you're kind of here in an observational capacity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's a bit of a journey. So the company started in 2008, and we were a systems integrator doing test, measurement, automation solutions for manufacturing. And so this show was just the perfect fit with that. And then over time, we've really, I wouldn't say pivoted, but slowly focused more on medtech and nuclear as industries. And so this show is really a great spot for us to go and find technology or solutions that we can then bring back to our customers.
Yeah, we were discussing the nuclear element, which is really interesting to me. So it's inspection, effectively?
Yeah, so on the nuclear side, we're a couple different areas. We're inspecting fuel channels on nuclear reactors to make sure they're safe and fit for service. Obviously, we don't want meltdowns. That's not a good thing to happen. So a lot of non-destructive examination. And then we're also in the process in Ontario of rebuilding or refurbing a lot of these reactors. And so as they do that, we have to do inspections along the way to make sure that it's being taken apart and put back together the right way.
That's interesting. So you feel like there's a renewed interest in nuclear right now?
Yeah, it was really kind of a dying industry up until a few years ago, and there were some geopolitical events that happened, which kind of kickstarted that. And now there's a renaissance pretty much across the world, new builds going in everywhere, extensions happening, and what people didn't really realize is it's one of the cleanest forms of energy that you can get at scale that's reliable, and so that's really helped as a catalyst.
Yeah. I just don't say the M word.
Yes.
So in terms of coming to a show like this, what are you shopping? Are you looking for technologies to integrate?
It's more of that. It's keeping up to date with the latest trends. What's going on in AI, imaging, robotics, all these things. It's just such a great spot to learn a lot really, really quickly and stay on top of things. And then as we go back to our nuclear customers, our medtech customers, we can say, hey, this technology exists. Something that would have been really tricky before, now we can just plug and play a solution. So it's really trying to be connected and up to date on what's going on.
I know specifically Boston Dynamics and other companies who make quadrupeds have had a lot of success with the nuclear inspections, oil rigs, things like that. Are you working with those kinds of robots? Are you looking at like potentially humanoids to do a similar job?
The environments are tricky for some of those. There's other, I guess, limitations. Most of the robotics that we see going into these operations are very much XYZ, very traditional kind of gantries or robots, because they have to be very precise, very repeatable, and so it's best designed for that. We have seen the Boston Dynamics. Yeah. It's really kind of in the innovation and experimental side of what maybe could it do.
Okay.
But they haven't really found that perfect application where that's the right solution for it.
Yeah, maybe not the ideal place to be experimenting.
Yeah, if they crash or something goes wrong, now you got to extract them. That's not something that they really want to have happen. They're pretty risk averse in that industry.
Yeah. I don't want to mention the M word, but like that was, I think, an early success for a lot of those quadruped robots, and that was Fukushima specifically. That's why I think a lot of the industry moved to 4 legs, because they realized that in disaster zones it works quite well.
Yeah, and in that use case, that's not the normal operating day to day. You want that capability to go in a very hostile environment. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, so I obviously I alluded to humanoids, but trend wise, what are kind of the macro things you're seeing at the show?
So there's a lot here, which is trying to process it all is definitely, it takes a bit of time, but.
Well, let's back up. So you were on a panel yesterday.
Yes.
And you went over like a lot of really big sort of top level heady things. Robert was interviewing you with executives from Ford and other places. What did you pull out from that?
Well, I think there's some big trends or problems that we're trying to figure out how to solve. We got a labor shortage, not just in manufacturing, but nurses, doctors, radiologists. We have a lot of roles that we just don't have enough people to fill, and there's implications in that we want to reshore. We want to bring manufacturing back. We need people that can, able to do the jobs. We want to have good medical care, but you need people to do it. So there's a lot of these technologies, on the AI side of things, on just having better compute, being able to process more data more quickly, we now can be a real big solution to this. And, on the medtech side of things, a big part of what we do is how do we make a doctor's life easier by automating the things they don't need to do.
Yeah.
They need to perform surgeries. They need to, be that final, yes, no, this is a problem. But there's a lot that they do. They don't have to.
And the robots are actually, have been for the last 20 years, helping with those surgeries.
Absolutely. That's a market that's really exploding right now, is the robotic-assisted surgery. And it's not a robot, going and doing it autonomously.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of times they're controlling a pen, which then allows the robot to be more precise in what they do. So it's seeing what's happening here, and then the ability to take that and apply it is going to be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, to me, the really exciting things, I said 20 years because Da Vinci came out like around the turn of the century. It's wild how long the technology's been around. The thing that really excites me is that almost like telepresence, that remote operation that you can do. So suddenly you're able to have world-class doctors in remote and impoverished areas.
Yeah, one of the projects we've actually done is taking a confocal microscope that's actually being used in a live surgery to look at tissue to see if they've gotten rid of the cancerous cells. Taking that, uploading to the cloud across the world, anywhere that a digital pathologist can be looking at it and saying, yes, it's good, no, it's not. So we've been able to help build solutions like that. And then you bring AI into it to not only just show them an image, but also highlight and flag these are suspicious regions. So it allows us to the standard of care that we can get, regardless of being in the best hospital, is now so much higher.
That's interesting. So the AI obviously isn't the end all be all when it comes to inspecting. You still want a human to look at those.
Yeah, we call it computer aided diagnostics. We want to try and make their life easier and faster by flagging things. But ultimately, if you want to get to the point where it's saying this is, that regulatory pathway is a lot harder. So we typically make it more of a computer-aided diagnostic. The trained operator or trained physician or trained person looks at it and says they do the final call. And that's very similar to what happens in manufacturing a lot of times for really complex things. It starts kind of step by step.
So last year, the big talk was generative AI, LLMs. Obviously, that's still really heavy around these parts, but this year it seems like agentic AI is what folks are talking about. Are either of those pertinent to what you do?
The generative AI, actually, just as a business, we use it to improve our workflows.
Okay, just in a way that anyone who needs to write things.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but there's a lot that you can get from just an initial interpretation of what's in there. Is there anything so we've been able to apply it to almost everything that we do internally, but we are seeing it start to get into the triage part of a medical device.
Interesting.
Questions on demographics, on health conditions, everything else. You can do that and really get a good sense of, is this a candidate for surgery or not? So we're starting to see that be brought into the front end of these devices.
So you mentioned reshoring, and your company's based in Toronto.
Yes.
Are you primarily focused on Canada, or is it all North America?
On the the nuclear side of the business, it's all Canada. On the medtech side of the business, it's very, very much all international. So we're working in Western Europe, UK, Australia, the US, Canada. So it's very different between the two business units, which is interesting. A lot going on that side as well for our customers that are trying to navigate.
Yeah, I don't want to. I always keep tiptoeing around this, but I assume right now, in spite of proximity, it's probably gotten a bit harder to deal with the U.S. specifically.
It actually hasn't.
Oh, okay.
We're a service provider, so we're not dealing with some of the same challenges that if you're shipping hardware across the border. But we bring a lot of value with what we do, and every engagement that we have, we help. So we actually found nothing's really changed on that side. It's more our customers that have to figure it out, because if they're building a device or hardware, they have a bit more of a challenge figuring out where they're going to build it and distribute it and so on.
Yeah, I've run into a lot of companies from Vancouver. There's a bustling tech scene out there. Interestingly, it seems like people are getting interested in Waterloo again. Obviously, they've got a big history there with RIM. What's the scene like in Toronto?
So it essentially is Silicon Valley North.
Okay.
This stat might be a little bit outdated, but I know that over the last 5 years, there was roughly the same amount of tech jobs added there as there was in the Bay.
Oh, wow.
So it's a huge, thriving tech scene.
Yeah.
A lot of great universities and colleges that are graduating, kids from STEM, and a lot of good business there. So it's definitely much bigger than people realize unless you're from the area.
And is the rent comparable with Vancouver?
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Okay. So it's also like San Francisco in that respect.
It's unfortunately not cheap.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. A couple things coming up from me at 3:20. I am going to be speaking with Engelberg Award winner Peter Cork. We'll actually be talking about tariffs at 3:40 with Blake Griffin, which Blake Griffin you'll have to tune in to find out. And at 4 o'clock, Michael Taylor from GM. So stay tuned.